Collingwood's season so far, not the start that we wanted, but let's break it down, have a chat about it, and where we can improve. Let's get into it. So before we get into it, if you are not subscribed and you're watching, please hit that subscription button or that subscribe button down below, and then hit that notification bell. So whenever I do post a video, you get a notification, because I can still see 48% of you guys that are watching aren't subscribed. So, you know, it's free to subscribe. So I just love it. Just hit that subscription button, and it'll mean the absolute world to me. And if you are subscribed and if you do have notifications turned on, I love you so much and I appreciate you. Now, Collingwood season so far. So at the moment, round 5, Collingwood start their premiership defence with 2 wins and 3 losses. And that flatters us quite a bit. So we started our premiership defence really with 3 losses in a row. And then we obviously beat Brisbane by, I think it was 22 points. And then we beat Hawthorn by less than a goal. So not an ideal start to a premiership defence. And you know, it all started against the Giants. We went down by 32 points to the Giants, and that game we looked very lethargic in that game. And it wasn't like the Giants came out to prove a point, to prove that, like, okay, we got done in the prelim by a point. They were a point off a grand final. They go, no, we can beat these guys, and beat us they did. They had us on the ropes for most of it. Not at the start. We came out, kicked a couple of good goals at the start, but then we didn't have our kicking boots on. Bad kicking is bad football, as you know. And the Giants, well, they're undefeated so far this season. I think that's 5 wins in a row for them. So they are a bloody good side, and maybe we underestimated them a little bit. I'm not too sure, but we came out and they had us on the ropes. And then you go, okay, first game of the season, opening round, round 0, doesn't really count. Our season starts when we go back to the MCG and we unfurl the flag against Sydney. And then we lose by 33 points, and Sydney mopped the floor with us and ruined our flag celebrations. And then you're sitting back and you're going, hang on, we're 0-2. We're in the same position that Geelong were in last year, and Geelong ended up finishing, what was it? I think between 11th and 13th last year, so out of finals contention. But that was their story. We're here to write our own story, however it may present itself. Then you go, okay, St Kilda next week, let's see what we can do. And then we lose that one by 15 points. And I think the St Kilda one, the St Kilda loss is the loss that kind of stings quite a bit to me personally. We should have won that game, right? The Giants game, the Sydney game, you go, okay, they were the better team on the day, and that's evident with how they're going throughout the season. Sydney's 3rd, obviously, and GWS, just like I said, hasn't lost the game just yet. So you go, okay, cool. That's evident. That's fine. St Kilda, we should have beaten them, right? 15 points, 15-point loss. We had them, I don't want to say on the ropes, but we were playing really good football at the start. Mason Wood gets injured, and then they come out. I think they kicked 5 goals straight after that Mason Wood injury. And then we sort of go back into our shell after half time. We come on and we try and do something, and it's just a little too late. And that's been the story of Collingwood's season so far. Just that we haven't worked hard enough, and when we're on top, we just haven't been able to put teams to the sword. So we lose to St Kilda by 15 points in a game that we really should have won. Right, we should be going into this by 3-2. I really do believe that. But we go to Brisbane the next week, and you're going, hang on a second, Brisbane haven't won a game. We're at the Gabba. We haven't beaten the Lions at the Gabba since 2019. The last time we won at the Gabba was 2020 against Sydney because of COVID. So, okay, Fortress, Brisbane, 2 grand finalists, both are 0 and I think we were 0-3, and they were 0-2 at that stage because they had an early bye. Let's see what we can do. And this was the Collingwood, besides that second quarter where we were absolutely shocking, this was the Collingwood that won us the premiership. This was the high pressure Collingwood. We were plus 32 in tackles. Pressure was through the roof. We were double teaming in tackles. Our defense in that second quarter, we didn't kick a goal, but the Lions were just peppering the forward 50. And I think they only kicked 3 or 4 goals for that quarter. Our defense really held up. And you go, oh my God, we're taking the game on. We've got that run, we've got that dash, we've got that there. And we're back. The Pies are back. We win our first game for the season against, the grand finalists, obviously. And you go, okay, this is the amazing Collingwood that we know and love. They've come back. They've had a rocket shot up their ass, and they're back and they're ready to fight. And then we take on Hawthorn at Gather Round. And the first 2 quarters, I literally turned to my friend Ali, that is a Hawthorn supporter, and I go to her, it's going to be a long day for you. It's going to be a long day for you. I was, after that first half, I'm going far out. We were up by 38 points at half time. I was thinking, this is a 60, 70 point win. Like, we have our foot on their throats. We should be able to just run away with this game. And then what happens? We win the game by 5 points. That game, and I said it in my preview, that game summarized Collingwood's season. Very good in patches and very freaking shit in other patches. And then like, if you look at here, Gold Coast 109, Hawthorn 56. That was yesterday's game. Why? How? How do we lose to Hawthorn by 5 points? And I think in that second half, and I said it in the review video as well, we just ran out of steam. We just ran out of steam. It's been a grueling start to our premiership defence. And I'm not just talking about, starting the season with 3 losses or anything like that. I'm talking about playing those first 3 games within 12 days of each other. I'm not going to say that we had a shorter rest, because we only had a week's difference from Carlton and the Giants, who went out the week before the grand final, obviously in the prelim. So we had a week difference towards them. We, and we could have, at the start of the season, Craig McRae is saying to us, these guys have never been fitter. Their GPS numbers, I've never seen, was it Cam Mooney? Was it Cam Mooney that said he knows someone in the club that said he's never seen a side ready to take on a premiership defence like Collingwood, like they were ready to go. And then we put up 0 and 3 numbers in the first 3 rounds. And, I think part of it is those 6-day breaks. So 3 games in 12 days, that's less than 2 weeks for 3 games. And we go up to Sydney for the opening round. We come back, have 2 games at the MCG, then go back up to Brisbane, and then go back down to Adelaide for Gather Round. And I'm not using travel as an excuse, because we are a notoriously good travelling side, and I guess that's evident from the 2 wins that we did have on the road. And when you're on the road, that's when the team bonds, that's when the team gels a lot more. But I think with 3 games in 12 days, 3 different states that we're playing, it's been a very, very intense, insane start to our premiership defence. And I know, as premiers, you do get a hard run, but this is crazy, man. Like, yes, the bye came at such a good time, but you think Brisbane, I think Carlton got their bye in round 3 as well. Some of these other teams got their bye very early on, but they were like, nah, we're going to maximise Collingwood's attendance for all these games, and we're just going to have big marquee games, and we're not going to give them a break until now. And I think that was evident by that last half against Hawthorn, where we just absolutely ran out of legs. I do want to give some shout outs to players who I think have really stood out. Jamie Elliott in our forward line has been incredible. He's kicked 10 goals so far. Billy Frampton has played an incredible 3 weeks since coming in. And, Charlie Dean did what he could do, but then you look back and you go, okay, maybe we should have had Frampton start, but he came in at the right time, has done everything right. That game against Brisbane was probably his best game for the club besides the grand final. Nick Dacos is just doing Nick Dacos things. We know that. There's a couple of other players that have done really well, but I wanted to highlight those 3 guys for really carrying this team pretty much. Jordan Ngowi did have a really good game against Hawthorn, but needs to show a little bit more consistency. The guys that need improvement, though, pretty much, besides Frampton, our backline. And, backline did good against Brisbane, but I just feel like everyone has lowered their colours quite a bit. Darcy Moore fumbling and just not doing Darcy Moore things. Isaac Quaynor hasn't had that good of a start to the year. And I'm not saying any of these guys are terrible and they're shit and drop them and this and this and this. They just, you set standards, not you, like they set themselves standards, and we see these standards. They're up here, and they're just playing below their standards, and it shows. You know, Jeremy Howe looks a bit slow, Steele side bottom, and it just really shows. And when your backline is sort of fumbling coming out, like how many goals have we given up from fumbles coming out of the backline? The St Kilda one, Logan McDonald kicking 3 over the top, Callum Brown and Jesse Hogan kicking, I think it was like 10 goals or something between them in the first round. So it's these things where what we pride ourselves on just haven't been up to standards, and that backline is a big thing. But even the mid to forward connection, the people that I talk to, like the fans that I talk to, and I'm saying, what's going on, what's up, they always sort of say a similar thing, and they're saying that the mid to forward connection is strained and it's not there. And if you look at the game from a bird's eye view, there's not a lot of Collingwood players leading into space in that forward line. Now, McStay coming out of the side with the ACL really stuffed us up. I was banking on him to kick 40 goals this year and being that big key forward that we need, because Ash Johnson hasn't worked. Reece McGuinness has done well, but he is not that big forward that we need. He is not Charlie Kerner. He's not Harry Mackay. He's not Charlie Dixon, and he's not Daniel McStay. He is a good third lead up forward. But we need to help checkers. We need McStay. We need a big key forward. We need Oscar Allen. We need a Charlie Curnow type who can kick 4 games when the game is nearly dead in the second half, like Charlie Curnow did yesterday against Adelaide. So that forward craft, the mid to forward connection definitely needs heaps more improvement. Another thing that you would notice, and it's glaringly obvious, in 2022-2023, we generated so much score from opposition turnover. We generated so much score from running off halfback, explosiveness, taking the game on, the kamikaze style that Jack Crisp likes to do when he's running off halfback. Nick Dacos pinpointing passes off half, Isaac Quayle, John Noble, all these players, right? And that's nowhere to be seen at the moment. And you can probably say that maybe people have figured it out, right? And fair enough. Say, Ross Lyon from the Saints, he said, yeah, look, you look at the grand finalists, you see what they're doing, they're one wood or whatever, and you try and copy it, you try and take bits of their game off them. And it looks like for the first 5 rounds, maybe not against Brisbane, but for the first 5 rounds, we have been figured out. And I just want to know if there is a plan B. And Craig McRae did say, I can't remember after what game it was, but he did say that in the first couple of rounds, they were trying a couple of new things, a few new things, and they just weren't working. I think it's a little bit too early to try new things. Let's get the wins on the board and then try new things, and try new sort of game plans, because what we had was working. And yes, people will figure it out. We won the grand final from this high pressure, corridor football, running football, these high halfbacks, exploding off the halfback line. That's how we won our games. Why reinvent the wheel majorly? I understand that the game's always evolving. You do have to make tweaks to your game plan. But it looks like we have absolutely reinvented the wheel. We went back to it a lot against Brisbane, which was great. And look what happens. We just do so well. We're plus 32 in tackles, pressure inside forward 50. We do it against Hawthorn, and we have the highest rated pressure points of any AFL side this season. So the game where we won the premiership with, our game plan still works. It still holds up, which is great. We just need to see it more consistently. We just need to see a lot of that pressure more and that beautiful, beautiful running off halfback, which we just aren't seeing. The beautiful thing about the bye, though, is that it gives us a chance to reset. It gives us a chance to reflect. And I can guarantee you, Lepich, Bolton, Craig McRae, Skipworth, Selwood, Jared Wade, all of these guys are dissecting our first 5 games just with a fine-tooth comb. They're trying to find multiple needles in a big haystack of what has gone on, and they will find it. They will correct it. Craig McRae always comes out and says, look, we're doing the simple things wrong. We're fumbling when we shouldn't. The game plan is kind of holding up here, but when you're fumbling here and your defense isn't running harder back here and this and that. So they know what's going on. They just need to fix it. And we have seen a lot of correction over the last 2 weeks. the one positive thing about the Pies this season, week to week, is that from the GWS game, in that Sydney game, we improved a little bit. We fixed a little bit up. Still lost, but still improved. From the St Kilda game, we fixed everything up from the two losses, and we nearly won that game, right? So we're improving. The Brisbane game, it was a culmination of those three learnings, and then we smashed Brisbane. And then the Hawthorn game, it was a little bit of that, but mainly it was, running out of, Jonathan Ratson running out of petrol tickets right at the end there. But the one thing I did like about that Hawthorn game was we didn't score a goal in that last quarter, but we were able to shut down Hawthorn from scoring in the last 5 or 6 minutes. And that was our bread and butter in 2022, 2023, where we could kill the game if we needed to. So that's in the back of our mind. That's DNA. That's muscle memory. What we haven't seen though is, do you remember in 2022, 2023, where we would be down by a few goals at 3/4 time and teams would be shitting themselves, absolutely shitting themselves. We're just not seeing that. I don't think teams fear us anymore at the moment, at least, where if a team is 3 goals down or 3 goals up, sorry, they don't go, oh shit, Collingwood are going to come back, and they start fumbling and then we come back. I haven't seen enough of us this season to say that we are able to do that. And like I said, with the pressure, that kicking 5 goals in the last quarter to win the game by 12 points, that is our bread and butter, or that has been our bread and butter. We need to go back to Coles, and we need to get that bread and that butter back, because it's something that we've been lacking, and we could have done that against St Kilda, could have even done it against Hawthorn if we wanted to. We just need to invoke that fear again into other teams' hearts. But anyway, look, that's just been my season so far. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you want to see for, I was going to say second half of the season, but the second quarter of the season until our next bye? What did you like from the first 5 rounds? What haven't you liked from the first 5 rounds? Leave them down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shaggers. I'll swoop you later.